Good evening, guys. It's working, bringing you a very quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. Actually, it's evening, and I'm getting ready to go to bed here, guys. But did wanted to get this out to you guys. Apologize, I didn't get one out to you earlier today. It's been a long day, and just working on a lot of things. But I do want to get this out to you guys and answer your questions. And this is the best way I can do that. So we're looking at Bitcoin to the U.S. dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Bitfinex, guys. And last time we talked, guys, Bitcoin had collapsed. It was sitting down in this zone here, guys. It actually, let's get rid of this. It's not what I was looking at. It had collapsed through this actual larger ascending. What was support was then acting as resistance. It actually collapsed right below that. Found support finally at price found support finally where we expected it to, which was sitting at about 6,400, somewhere thereabouts. Consolidated slightly, and then price ended up rising back up and retesting this 6540 zone. Now that 6540 has been a very, very strong resistance. If we look in the past here, guys, we've told you this numerous times that this is a very strong resistance level, this 6540. This 6750 is also a very strong resistance level, guys. We've got to get above both of those if we have any, if there's any chance that that this bull run is going to take place. Right now, we're stuck back into this traditional zone that we've been in for the last couple of months. I've showed you guys this here in the past numerous times. If we look at volume profile here, or just volume profile alone will show us the majority of the trading is just taking place right here between 6280 and 6540. I mean, there's just no question about it. Even if we zoom in here, guys, we can just see it. This is where all the action is, right in here. And price seems to meander just a little low, a little above, but it always comes back to this area. And until we get a decisive break away from this area, I'm afraid that that this pattern is just going to repeat. The good news is it does look like that's going to happen very soon. A decisive break does look like that's going to happen very soon. We're getting squeezed tighter and tighter. As I told you guys, when we pull out here on the larger picture, pointed this out to you guys yesterday. Looking here at the larger picture, prices come up, it's come down, it's come up, it's come down. What are you seeing similar? Every time it does that, it gets a little smaller and a little smaller and down and up a little smaller and down a little smaller and up a little smaller and down a little smaller, and we're up a little smaller, and now we're just barely coming down. There's really not much. I mean, I'm zooming all the way in. There's just not much more we can do, guys, before this thing is either going to just collapse and fall over on us, possibly coming down and testing new 2018 lows, possibly even coming down to about 5,500 or so. That's a real possibility. Even 4,500 is a possibility, guys. Or it's also possible that this thing is just going to turn around and completely surprise everybody and fly out of here. Excuse me, guys. And fly out here like a bat out of hell, and Bitcoin's going to go on the bull run that everyone's waiting for. Either of those things are possible at this moment, guys. So what am I keeping an eye on? I'm going to keep an eye on, I'm watching, that's not what I wanted. I'm watching this trend line here, right here. I'm watching this trend line to see if price breaks below it. If price does stay above it, I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic. I think this thing still has a chance. We can see if we just zoom out here, we see the point of control is sitting right here, right about where price is, sitting, right roughly about 46.40. Somewhere thereabouts. We've got that point of control. If you guys aren't familiar with point of control off volume profile, I'd recommend you look that up. But basically, this just gives us a good area of support and resistance. Generally, anytime price is above that point of control, that's a bullish sign. Below, it's a bearish sign. And there's a lot more to it than that, guys, but that's the gist of it. So right now, it's a very critical point to see which way Bitcoin is going to break. As I told you in the past, we've got to break above 6540. If that does break, we've still got very strong support at 6750. If 6750 does break, guys, and that would be the first real break other than just a little wick here, that'd be the first real break in quite some time. We need to see 6750 break, come up, test this 6950 number. If 6950 can break, that will be the first time that Bitcoin has broken above the golden pocket. The golden pocket is the 618 fib to the 65 fib, that little golden pocket in between. That'll be the first time in 2018 that Bitcoin has actually broken that golden pocket on a retrace. So that'd be right here in this area. and it's sitting at about 69.50, somewhere there about. We'll call it 7,000. It's a good psychological number. If price can get above 7,000, guys, that retrace will be the first time in 2018 that we've actually broken above the 618 and the 65 fib, the golden pocket they call that. First time, and that would be a possible sign of a longer term bull run, and it would certainly break that bearish trend, guys. So that's what I'm watching. That's what I'm hoping for. If we do end up breaking, let me clean this up for you a little bit. If we do end up breaking below this ascending support line here, I do fear that price is going to drop, definitely going to drop to this 62.80 in my opinion. I think there's a very, very good chance of that happening. But more than that, even, I think that if price does end up breaking down, builds momentum, I think it could drop below 62.80, possibly come down, test 6,100. 6,100 has to hold. As I told you guys before, if 6,100 does break, we're going to come down and test 2018 lows. That's just my opinion. If we get a decisive break, not a wick or anything like that, but a decisive break below 6,100, we're going to come down and test new 2018 lows, guys. That's just the way it is. And at that point, which it would not necessarily be a bad thing, guys, if we can get a strong deep bounce inside of 6,000, we can get a strong deep bounce even down to about 5,500, guys, and then it's very, very impulsive move up from that, I welcome it. I want closure on this thing as soon as possible. But all we can do is wait and see how it plays out, guys, and then react accordingly. To the upside, as I said, guys, we need to break this 69.50. If we can break that, it'll be the first time we've broken above that golden pocket. At that point, we're going to be coming up and testing the prior high, which sits at about 74.20, I think it is. If we can break that 74.20 high, we will have officially broken this bearish trend. And I do believe that would signal the start of a larger bull run, in my opinion. Certainly would break the trend at the very least, but I think that would be the start of a larger bull run, in my opinion. I just don't see how else it could. Excuse me. So all eyes now, guys. Our price is back in this range between 65.40 and 62.80. We're going to see if we can maintain itself above this ascending support line. See if it can at least maintain itself above 62.80. If it more than likely, in my opinion, I think there's a good chance it's just going to ping pong ball between 62.80 and 65.40, just like it has here in the past so many times, until we get some kind of market moving news that's going to drive price in one direction or another. If we look at short positions are just sitting rather stagnant. Overall, they are stacked, but relatively speaking, guys, they've dropped significantly. They're sitting rather stagnant. They're within about $2,000 of long positions. We switch over to longs. Longs are sitting just unfazed, just basically sitting there doing nothing. So nothing really to report on longs for shorts at all. We're on the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart here, guys. Looking at zooming in here on the 4-hour, we can see that the moving averages are all starting to consolidate in on one another. If we get that in conjunction with Bollinger Bands that start to consolidate, that's a very good sign of a possible breakout to come, or a larger move to come. Doesn't mean up necessarily. It could also be a breakdown, guys. So just be very careful when I say that. I don't necessarily mean up. Make sure you know that. It could also be down. But we need to see the Bollinger Bands start to tighten much more before we can start to before we'll start expecting that. If I come over here to the daily chart, zoom in. We look at the daily chart, guys. We are starting to see signs of that. We're seeing the Bollinger Bands bottleneck severely, and we're also seeing the 55-day moving average, or exponential moving average, the 21-day EMA and the 8-day EMA all converging on each other, as well as the 50-day moving average converging on each other. Now we still have the 200-day moving average up here, and the rest below that. That in itself is a very bearish sign, but let's see if we can flip that here pretty soon. But yeah, this does look like it's setting up for a potential larger move here in the next week or so, in my opinion. If this trend continues, if the Bollinger Bands continue to tighten, and if these moving averages continue to get squeezed, I do think that that's going to set up for a much larger move here, as I said, in about a week or so. Pulling back out on the daily chart, guys, we can see that price has come back down. price has come back down, touched this trend line here that I pointed out here, 1, 2, 3 separate times. You'd expect on that third time, you'd expect a nice impulsive bounce up. Looks like we've got a small bounce here, not so impulsive yet. Doesn't mean it can't turn into one, but what I'm watching for, what I'd like to see is this nice impulsive bounce. Now I'm counting this as a 1, 2. In other words, I'm counting all of this as my 1. If I get into Elliott, which I don't like to do in low volume markets, as you guys know, but I'm going to make an exception here just to kind of give you guys an idea of what we're looking at and possibilities of what to expect. So looking at a 1, 2, possible 3. Assuming this is the bottom of our 1, we know that this would be the top. The bottom of our 2. We know this would be the top of our 1. If I pull my fib extension off that, what does that tell me? Fib extension, that gives me about a 1-to-1 of about 7,080. It gives me a 1,618, which is oftentimes where wave 3 will hit, up sitting at around 7,540, 7,000. What was that? Yeah, $7,540. So is that going to happen? So that would be something up here. Is that going to happen? I'd be very surprised, at least not in the impulsive way that we would like to see it happen. It may happen in a rather non-impulsive way, but we know wave 3s are often the longest and the strongest. We'll wait and see if it lives up to that or not. It's certainly not impossible, but right now I'm just not seeing the volume to follow through with anything like that at all. Right now I'm just watching this trend line here. I'm watching to see if it breaks down. If that breaks down, I'm watching 6280. If 6280 breaks down, it's going to be a quick drop to 6100. And this time, guys, that 6100 has been tested so many times. It got so weakened back here. Price came down, didn't quite make it. This is the first time it got barely touched here by just a wick. There were a lot of buy orders sitting down here that pushed it up. No real major test there at 6100. I do think if we get a strong test of 6100, I do think it's going to break. And if and when that does happen, we're coming down in here to this zone here between 5850 and 5700, and we're going to test all-time lows. Either we're going to get a major reaction there, guys, to the upside, or we're going to get a complete collapse, I believe, down to at least 54.50, and we'll see what happens at 54.50. But I digress, guys. We're nowhere near there yet for now. Let's just keep an eye on our on this trend line. See if we can get above 65.40. The minute we get above 65.40, I think it'll be a very quick rise up to 67.50. As I told you guys before, that's going to act as a strong resistance as it has in the past. And if we can get above 67.50, all eyes are going to be on this 69.50. That's the golden ticket. That's what we have to get off of, guys, or take out. That's what we have to take out to start this larger bull run, as I've showed you guys many times. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comments section below. As always, I would appreciate an upvote, re-steam, or a like if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe, take care of yourselves. I'm going to go to bed, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good one, guys. Good night.